All right, cyber traders, welcome on back here this Wednesday, February 9th, shortly after 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Welcome on back here for our afternoon meeting. Let's get a quick sound check just to begin. I always ask for one, but honestly, today we had a couple of tech issues inside our live trading room early. I need it more now than ever, folks. And of course, first to the punch there, Chuck. We have Mario, Gary, Michael, Phil, Kathleen, Bruno, Deb, John, Tom, Brian, Gene, Wendy, Henry. I got all of us right there. Perfect. All right. And if you're joining us back on Facebook Live or YouTube, our social streams, welcome on back as well. First, we have the KAVL trade to begin. It's up near 48% right now. Hey, easy enough. We're going to put this back on our watch list for the afternoon. Keyword back, because the stock, we've been trading really more on than off over the last 5 to 6 trading days straight, right? We ended up seeing this stock as like an 80 cent or 75 cent stock back, last week, ended up making a huge run up towards near 140 at that point. Well, over time, it only continued to push up. And I know Fausto covered that for the most part in the morning meeting. But it's just to say, at least, hey, this stock right now is exactly where we would want it to be right now at this time of the day. At the highs, just broke a new high a moment ago. So it seems like there's still a lot of buying pouring into this trade. I would assume your next resistance, you can kind of see it there on the Ask My Trade Station matrix on the far right side. It's a 35,000+ share order sitting up top there at $2.36. So presumptively, that would be our next resistance from that point, 250. All right, so KAVL, definitely a great stock to begin with and putting on our watch list. There's a bunch of other stocks moving though. As you can see, the SPY was just moving up going into the early afternoon, and right before 2 or right after 2 p.m. actually it broke higher. So for right now, there's plenty of stocks going with the market, and one of those stocks in particular, at least sans the last few minutes, a little shake off the high there. AMC, man, AMC has had some crazy shakes to it today. Not much of a surprise given AMC, but at least from the late morning heading into the early afternoon, this was rocking. This was on the way up towards 1860, 1872 is the high so far. It pulled back, and that's expected, right? A little pullback there. Stocks can't keep moving up forever. But what I mean by the crazy shakes is like even here, it's just flat. It's not doing much. If it's not going to break higher, you think it's just going to keep dropping off. Well, we had a big pop here, and then right before 2 p.m. Eastern time, we ended up seeing another big shake where it ended up just popping from the consolidation off of 18. So for right now, at least, well, actually up until right now, things were looking great. And then right now, actually, just a big shake right off the 1850 resistance once again. So hey, this AMC stock is up still 10.9%. It's extremely, volatile. And I say that in a good way because the liquidity is pretty filled in on the order book. It's got at least a consistently tight spread and at least very easy to read iceberg orders. That's all we could ask for out of a tradable stock, either going into the morning or the afternoon. So AMC for right now, I'll put back on our list here. In order to see this make another nice run heading into the close, we really need to begin to see this push back up soon. It's not just a matter of seeing support hold here. That's the first part of the equation. But this could hold support for the next 90 minutes and not push up, right? We still need it to push up. So much sooner than later, we need to see this begin to retrace back up towards that 1850 blue line there. All right, Wendy says she lost me, but I'm back. All right, so I'm good there. Tom says AMC pretty weak volume off that drop to 1815. No volume over the last 5 minutes. Well, yeah, definitely. The volume's waned back down a bit, but that was to be the case going into the early afternoon, much before this pop. So, that's where I'm just saying, make sure that we happen to see support build here, because if not, I mean, hey, granted, this could still move with the market, and if the markets keep pushing up, this will likely ascend with it. Maybe not to as much of a degree as we had from earlier, but that's where I say though, generally, if support does not hold here, especially if the markets pull back, this will come screaming back down. So you got to be careful on this trade. All right. So otherwise, folks, the big mover, the big runner that we caught from this morning, the same stock from yesterday, DCFC. Right, another big pop this morning. It took a little while to get the gears going for it to really pop and get halted. Right off of, I think it was $14 at the time. Normally, when a stock gets halted, we tend to see what's called the opening halt print. And from there, we have to try and find our levels, try and react from that point. Man, this didn't even come close to 14 again, did it? I mean, when it reopened off the halt, it just kept going. And I thought at that point, at least at some point heading into this time of the day, the afternoon at least, that we would see a clean bounce off like 14, even 1450. And for that reason, I didn't trade this stock. It just kept going. I mean, it ended up just kind of, holding right off the consolidation. I reckon you can call that $15.50, right where my cursor is here, and I didn't want to chase. Simple as that. So stock ended up just continuing to push up, breaking all-time highs throughout the early afternoon. Listen, right now it's trying to make a bit of a slingshot as we speak, trying to push back above the 17 level. I'll put this on our watch list, folks. Certainly just, more for a stock to watch than really a stock to trade a lot of shares on. This is not really too expensive, mind you, but it's a very volatile stock. I mean, I would look to do probably 500 shares the most on this myself. Maybe if I were to feel really confident doing a full size position, but probably just do this on a half size. I mean, you can get shaken out extremely fast on this DCFC trade. All right. Well, I'll tell you the polar opposite to DCFC, the polar opposite to this DCFC trade today, folks. MITQ. MITQ doesn't look too great right now. It actually looks a lot better, recently here than it did going into the early afternoon. And this, lo and behold, folks, just to let you know, this is also the one trade I'm currently long on right now, currently in altogether. I'm in from 150. My stop is set at 149. I wrote that in the chat board, folks, a little bit earlier for those of us that were with me going into the early afternoon. I mean, granted, I'm calling out AMC. We have the BKKT trade too, mind you, right? But I'd mentioned at 2:08 Eastern time, I said MITQ has a 392,000 share iceberg order on the bid. You could see, actually, let me just check to see if he's still there. But that was at 2:08 Eastern time. He actually pulled. That's interesting. All right, maybe I have to just watch myself on this trade here coming up because, hey, this was the main reason why I thought there could be one more run on this stock for the day. And it's done a good job since I got in, right? I mean, 150 to 158, 159. I also had a really strong pre-market level on this trade right off the 160 level. So I know I'm not out of the doghouse on my trade yet. Things are looking all right, right? But you never know. So, hey, more of like a level 1 or 2 stock, and not just because I'm in it, folks, but more so because we're getting a bit of a bounce here. It's showing some good signs of life. So, certainly we hope to see this MITQ trade break over the 160 level pretty hard heading into the afternoon. Should that happen, I would love to see like 175 by the end of the day. And if we keep going, who knows? I'd love to see even 2 perhaps. You never know. That's where I say at least first. We'll see what happens coming off the strong 160 level here to begin. All right, so we keep it going, folks. We keep it pushing. BKKT, we may as well jump to number 8 on the gainers list right now. It just made a lower high and pulling back a slight bit here. But stock ended up making a really good move once again today. And again, the key word here would be once again, because not from yesterday, but more so from Monday, we ended up doing really well on the stock. It ended up actually going into the early afternoon, from what I recall, I think. It ended up breaking above 5, made for a really nice slingshot going into this time of the day back from Monday. So right now, at least, hey, I like where it's at. It's making a lower high. So we definitely would like to see this begin to push higher sooner than later here too. Yeah, we'll add BKKT to our list. All right, let's see what else we got here, folks. In the meantime, just kind of skimming through the volume, the price tabs here on my gainer side. BBIG, familiar name, 49 plus million shares. It's up big today once again, and much closer to its highs compared to a lot of these other trades. So if I put the BKKT trade on, I feel like I got to put the BBIG on there too. They're not part of the same sector or company, at least not that I'm aware of. So it's just a matter of just seeing this chart pattern, seeing this near or at the highs. Made a nice push from earlier today. All right, we'll just keep kind of skimming through. CGC pot stock came off earnings today, not looking so good right now. Briefly, let me just take a look at Tilray, TLRY. Now, this looks a lot better in terms of a stock near the highs. It's pushing up still gradually, a little slow. But next resistance you could see on the ask right off of 7. It's about 127,000 share iceberg. So I'll tell you, it's not even just Tilray. I'm surprised the CGC is as flat as it is because the sector, MJ, pot stock ETF, It's at the highs. It's up over 5% itself. So Tilray, I mean, just looking at this heading into the close, it's not the fastest moving, and that's all right. I mean, for right now, I'll put this on our list here too. We got some other stocks at the highs of the day moving with the market. I see US Steel, my lovely X trade, FCX, one of us wrote earlier. I see Twitter at the high. So there's plenty more to go around, folks. I just want to see if there's anything else here looking just as good. IQ, I feel like at some point this stock's going to set itself up for like a giant short squeeze, a gigantic short squeeze. I don't know when that will be. I don't know, what date, this week, next month, next year. For as much as this stock has gotten clobbered, not only from April of 21, but really off its IPO, it's to say this stock is going to some point make a squeeze up. And it's at the highs right now, too, across the day. So it wouldn't hurt us to put this on our watch list for the close for right now. This IQ trade. Let's see what else we got, though, in the meantime. SKLZ kind of making the same push. This one seems a little slower, more gradual maybe, but a little slower even. All right, I'm sure there's going to be plenty more that's up that illustrious 5+%, folks. So if there is anything that you would want me to check out here at the end, just type it in the chat board. Let me hop on over to the loser side here next, though. Oh, and as I begin to go through the losers list, I may as well state right now, and I had mentioned this from last week, we're going to be doing away with the Bitcoin reviews at least Monday, Wednesday, Friday, as we always have been doing them across the last year and a half. We're going to be doing separate, solo, more full-length Bitcoin analysis videos. So that's just something to kind of think about going into the rest of this week. We'll have that up likely by Saturday. Well, likely by Friday, definitely by Saturday. QNST flat here right now. AVYA, it's more to the lows at least, kind of dropping off. I don't really feel a need to put that on our list just yet. Container Store, I was going to say Tupperware, kind of go hand in hand. Container Store ended up making a nice little dead cat bounce at first, even beginning from pre-market. It did from like 725 up to like 850 and change. It's trying to pull back here. I mean, it's tradable. Don't really feel a great need to put this on our list either though. All right. And I'll tell you, folks, not to sound lazy, it really is not. It's just kind of intuition, really. But, there are a couple of other stocks that are shortable, I reckon, but nothing that I think would be that great of a short trade heading into the close. BBD here, it's kind of dropping, but it's too slow for me here. From top to bottom, we'll go with. So we will go with Tom first, I think, on CFEI, asking me to just go over the trade to begin. Yeah, so we ended up seeing some news come out. I think it was across all of those stocks that are affiliated with the Trump SPAC. I think it was just in relation to in relation to the platform Rumble. They ended up offering Joe Rogan like $100 million contract. I think he just passed on. That's it. That's literally the reason why this stock just tanked. I think it's a little overblown, the drop. And, with that, it's just flat, though, here in the meantime. So is it making a great move right now? Not really. So I'm not too particular about putting this on our list, at least just yet. Definitely we'll check back in with the CFEI come tomorrow. Good side list stock at least. All right, nice push on the Mara from Chuck. Nice push on the Riot also from Chuck. And I'll tell you, I guess we got enough time here. If I have enough time, perhaps we'll try and whip out the Bitcoin chart, at least just to show it. But otherwise, though, again, I plan on doing just a more full-length video by the end of this week on Bitcoin. But nonetheless, at least taking a look at BTC in general. Back to 44.5, Chuck. Not too steep of a pullback from where we left off from Monday afternoon. And that's all right. I haven't added more over the last 48 hours. Have not. I'm going to wait for a little bit further of a pullback here first. But, hey, markets are pushing up. Bitcoin's pushing up. So with that, Riot and Mara are pushing up. I'm sure that we could look at some other Bitcoin stocks too, I reckon. HUT, Hive, BT, BITF, et cetera, et cetera. Hive's at the highs, but slow. It's a cheap IPO, Hive. Keep that in mind as like a side list stock in the future. BITF is at the highs also, kind of slow. I'll put Riot and Mara on our main list in particular. Those are a little more volatile and volatile in a good way. So let's see. From Wendy, DKNG approaching high of the day. It is that also, right? And I'll tell you, what's coming up, folks? What's coming up? What's on Sunday? I don't know if we're legally allowed to call it this. They crack down on calling it the big game, right? NFL is very stingy on rights and all of that stuff. I'm joking when I say that, but of course, the big game, right? We'll call it the big game, obviously between the Rams and the Bengals. So with that, we're seeing a lot more engagement on sports betting websites. Obviously DraftKings, and with everything coming across New York within the last 1 to 2 months, we're hoping to see a nice move on DraftKings, but it's really been taking a bit of a hit over the end of last year into this year. So hey, it's up decent right now. I mean, I'm sure we could find plenty of other stocks that are up and at the highs right now, but this looks good. I like this DraftKings. This one looks pretty interesting. Brian says prime rib day, and then Mark follows up by saying the Puppy Bowl. That's true. It is the Puppy Bowl on Sunday. I got to write that down on my calendar. All right, so folks, what else we got? And Chuck says, and a reminder, because the CPI numbers come out tomorrow morning. That is right, Chuck. I appreciate you bringing that up again. We were talking about that from the audio broadcast in the morning. Obviously, Bitcoin's going to make a big move once those numbers are out. And it's already starting to make a decent move with the market. So definitely interested in seeing what happens come pre-market tomorrow morning off those inflation numbers. All right. How about this? One of our longtime members of Cyber Trading University on YouTube today, David, welcome back, asking about the Mara trade about 3 minutes ago. I'm just catching that chat right now, Dave. From RJF, one of our longtime viewers on YouTube, asking us about the SBEV trade. Not too particular about it. If you're in already, you're up a little bit there, but hey, nice drop off. So the drop could be interesting, but I'm not necessarily expecting for this to, at least move all the way back up to 520, break a new high by the time the market closes. This could still be a good sideless stock. I mean, just look what happened going into the end of last year, into even just the last few days or last week. So it ended up beginning to push back up again. This could be in contention at some point. I just feel like right now it's not doing a whole lot to interest us. Brian asking about RIG, RIG. Nah, too flat. Way too flat there. All right, folks. I think that we're trying to go through everything, but I'll tell you, I think we have a decent list to begin. In total, we got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 stocks to work with, and 10 stocks, no ETFs on here, folks. All stocks to work with, 10 in particular to start with. And then aside from that, hey, there's plenty else out there, but let's start and stick with this list. You heard me say it yesterday, but even furthermore, for a day like today, there's a lot to go around. Let's not get too overwhelmed with this and that stock. So, hey, there's a lot to work with on this list. Let's start with this list and work off it. Then at that point, right around 3 o'clock Eastern time, as Rich jumps back on the mic himself, then at that point, we'll look to see if there's anything else, moving. We'll work together as a team and see if there's any other pops or drops. All right, folks, for all of us on YouTube, Facebook Live, I appreciate you sticking with me each and every day, each and every afternoon. If you have any other questions, feel more than free to send it over an email right to josh@ctutrading.com. That's my personal email. So any questions that you have, you could always shoot me a quick email. Anything to do with stock trading, crypto trading, our call outs. And of course, as a student of Cyber Trading University, like Chuck or Tom or Mark or Grant, Kathleen, Wendy, you folks know, of course, more than anyone. So, hey, let me know if you have any questions, folks. I'll be back on the mic later on this afternoon, right at 3:30 Eastern. Take care.